Lesson 5-4 is going to be dividing multiples of 10. So in my division problem, I'm going to have 249 divided by 20. And I'm going to rewrite that as long division. The first number always goes in the house. So 249 divided by, and then I'm going to put the 20 on the outside. So just like with single digit division, I have to look at the 2 and say 2 divided by 20. Well, 2 is too small. 20 can't go into 2, so I'm going to put an X there. Now I'm looking at 24, and I know that 24 can be divided by 20 one time. I'm going to multiply 20 times 1, which is just 20 again, and then I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4, and 2 minus 2 is 0. I check to make sure my 4 is smaller than 20. It is, which means I can bring down. Bring down my 9, I now have 49 divided by 20. I'm not really sure about 49, so I'm going to estimate that as 40. I'm just going to think of it as 40 divided by 20. And I know that 2 can go into 4 2 times, so 20 can go into 40 2 times. I'm going to multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, with the 0 behind it is 40, so 20 times 2 is 40. Then I subtract 49 minus 40. I get 9. There's nothing else to bring down, so my answer is going to be 12 with a remainder of 9. Let's take a look at another example. In the problem 345 divided by 30, I'm going to start with 3, and I know that 3 is way too small to be divided by 30. So I'm going to have to put an X up there and look at 34 divided by 30. So 34 divided by 30, I know it's going to be 1 time. 3 times 1 is 3, with a 0 behind it is 30, or 30 times 1 is 30. And then I'm going to subtract 34 minus 30. 4 minus 0 is 4, and 3 minus 3 is nothing. I can bring down my 5, which gives me 45. Now I need to do 45 divided by 30. And if I think of, instead of 30, if I think of 3, well, 3 times 2 is 6, with a 0 behind it, that's going to be 60. So what I really want to do is multiply it by 1, because it'd be too much if it was 60. So 3 times 1 with a 0 behind it, or 30 times 1, is just 30. And now I have 45 minus 30. 5 minus 0 is 5, and 4 minus 3 is 1. I have to check to make sure that 15 is smaller than my 30. It is. There's nothing to bring down, which means that that 15 is my remainder, and my final answer is 11, remainder 15. Number 1 in your practice book. Number 1 is 1,467 divided by 20. So just like before, I'm going to start in the largest place, the thousands place, and look at that 1. 1 is too small to be divided by 20. So I'm going to put an X there. So now I look at 14. Can 14 be divided by 20? And it can't. 14 is too small. So I'm going to put another X there. But I know 146 is big enough to be divided by 20. But I don't know what 146 divided by 20 is. So I'm going to estimate 140 divided by 20, because I know that I can just cross off a 0 on this side and a 0 on this side, because they both have a 0, and now it just says 14 divided by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I'm going to try 7 my problem. I'm going to put 7 up here. I'm going to multiply 20 times 7, and hopefully I'll get close to 146. So I know that 2 times 7 is 14, and then I just add a 0 behind it. So 2 times 7 is 14, and then I have a 0 from 20 put behind it, and I'm going to subtract. 146 minus 140 gives you 6, and I just have to check to make sure that 6 is smaller than my 20. It is, which means I can now bring down my 7. 67 divided by 20. And again, I'm not sure about the 67, but I know I can do 60 divided by 20, and that's going to be 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then I'm going to put the 0 behind it from the 20. 20 times 3 is 60. Subtract. 7 minus nothing is 7. And there's nothing else to bring down, so my final answer is 73, remainder 7. Number 2, 321 divided by 40. Look at the 3. 3 is too small, so I'll put an X over it. Now I'm going to look at 32. 32 divided by 40. 32 is even too small, so again I'm going to have to put another X up there. Now I have 321 divided by 40. Well, that's a little confusing, so I'm going to estimate. I'm just going to turn that last number into a 0 and estimate 320 divided by 40. And the reason I'm estimating this is because I know there's a 0 on 320, and I know there's a 0 on 40, which means I can cross them out. And now I just have 32 divided by 4. Well, 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I'm going to try 8 and see if it works in my math problem. I'm going to do 4 times 8 with a 0 behind it, so 40 times 8. I know 4 times 8 is 32, and then I have a 0 behind it, so 320. I'm going to subtract. 1 minus nothing is 1, 2 minus 2 is 0, and 3 minus 3 is 0. So my final answer is 8 with a remainder of just 1. Number 3, 813 divided by 80. So I know 8 is too small, so again I'm going to put my X. 81 divided by 80, I know that is just going to be one time because it's only one away. So 80 times 1 is 80, and then I'm going to subtract. 81 minus 80 is 1. I'm going to bring down my 3, 13. 13 divided by 80, 13 is way too small. But I can't leave that spot blank, so I'm going to put a 0 there. And I'm going to multiply 80 times 0, which is just 0, and I'm going to subtract and get 13. There's nothing else to bring down, and my 13 is smaller than the 80, which means I am done with this problem, and the answer is 10, remainder 13.